The birth of Samson. The story of Samson, one of the most famous judges of Israel, begins in the biblical book of Judges, chapters 13 to 16. Samson's life was marked by divine intervention even before his birth. The Israelites, having turned away from God, fell under the oppression of the Philistines, a powerful neighboring nation. For 40 years, the Philistines ruled over them. During this time, a man named Manoah and his wife lived in the town of Zorah, within the tribe of Dan. Manoah's wife, whose name is not mentioned in the scriptures, was barren and childless. One day, an angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife and proclaimed that she would conceive and bear a son. The angel instructed her to abstain from wine, fermented drinks, and unclean foods during her pregnancy. He also declared that the child was to be a Nazirite from birth, dedicated to God. As a Nazirite, Samson's hair was never to be cut, symbolizing his lifelong vow to the Lord. The angel explained that Samson would begin to deliver Israel from the Philistines. Manoah prayed for the angel to return and provide further guidance. The angel reappeared, confirming the instructions. In response, Manoah offered a sacrifice to God, during which the angel ascended to heaven in the flames, leaving Manoah and his wife awestruck. As foretold, Manoah's wife bore a son and named him Samson, meaning like the sun. Samson's life and feats of strength. Samson grew up blessed by the Spirit of the Lord, and his extraordinary strength soon became evident. As a young man, he sought a Philistine woman from Timnah as his wife, much to the disapproval of his parents, who wished he would marry an Israelite. However, this choice was part of God's plan to create conflict with the Philistines. On his way to Timnah, Samson encountered a young lion. The Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he tore the lion apart with his bare hands. Later, when passing the same spot, he found a swarm of bees and honey in the lion's carcass. At his wedding feast, Samson posed a riddle to the Philistine guests based on this encounter. Out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet. Unable to solve the riddle, the Philistines coerced Samson's wife into revealing the answer. Enraged by their deceit, Samson killed 30 Philistine men and took their garments to pay the wager. This incident marked the beginning of Samson's confrontations with the Philistines. When his wife was given to another man, Samson burned the Philistines' grain fields by tying torches to the tails of 300 foxes and releasing them. In retaliation, the Philistines killed his wife and her family. Samson responded with a great slaughter of Philistines, further escalating the conflict. Samson's betrayal by Delilah. Samson's most famous story involves his relationship with Delilah, a woman from the valley of Sorek. The Philistine leaders bribed Delilah to discover the secret of Samson's strength, offering her a substantial sum of silver. Despite Samson's initial attempts to deceive her, Delilah's persistence eventually led him to reveal the truth. His strength was tied to his Nazirite vow, symbolized by his uncut hair. While Samson slept, Delilah had his hair cut, breaking his vow. When the Philistines attacked, Samson found that his strength had left him. They captured him, gouged out his eyes, and imprisoned him in Gaza, forcing him to grind grain in humiliation. However, during his captivity, Samson's hair began to grow back, and with it, his strength began to return. Samson's final act and death. The Philistines held a great feast in honor of their god Dagon, celebrating their triumph over Samson. They brought Samson out to entertain the crowd, mocking him. However, Samson prayed to God, asking for the return of his strength to avenge the loss of his eyes. Led by a servant to the central pillars of the temple, Samson positioned himself between them and pushed with all his might. The temple collapsed, killing thousands of Philistines and Samson himself. In his death, Samson achieved his greatest victory against the Philistines, delivering a significant blow to their dominance over Israel. The legacy of Samson's life was a paradox of great potential and personal flaws. His extraordinary strength and victories against the Philistines made him a hero of Israel, but his impulsive actions and relationships often led to personal and national consequences. His story serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of faithfulness and the consequences of straying from one's commitments. Despite his flaws, Samson's life demonstrates God's ability to work through imperfect people to achieve his purposes. Samson's death marked a turning point in the Israelites' struggle against the Philistines, setting the stage for future deliverance.